Welcome back, everyone. Jake here. Currently, we're on day 133 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine, and it's estimated that over 36,000 soldiers fighting on the Russian side have been killed so far in this conflict. I have to put in the disclaimer that more and more I'm convinced that a majority of the soldiers dying for the Russians are actually separatist fighters from the Donbas region. Russia has mobilized basically the entire adult male population of the Donbas, and they're pushing these conscripts to the front lines in order to conserve casualties from actual contract Russian soldiers. So what is the true casualty rate for the professional Russian military? Maybe it's half of this number. And the big news from this week is that Russia has gained control 100% of the Luhansk Oblast. This is a huge propaganda victory for the Russians as they finally took the sister cities of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. However, in this video, I'm here to argue that this is not that impressive of a military victory for supposedly the world's second most powerful military. When you look at the map for the Luhansk Oblast, there's only two cities of significant size with a pre-war population of greater than 100,000 people. The north part of this region is basically empty farmland, and the separatists already controlled the capital city of Luhansk prior to the start of the war. So for 7 years, the separatist fighters have been trying to take the city of Severodonetsk and failed, and then Russia finally entered the country. And the Russian military, once again, supposedly the second most powerful military in the world, it took them over 130 days to finally take this one city. So my hat's off to the impressive military heroics of the Ukrainian army holding out that long when they were basically being outgunned 10-1. Here's the parody account, Darth Putin, and this is what he has to say. Day 131 of my 3-day war, capturing Kyiv was a feint. The goal was always someplace you never heard of, Lysychansk. I remain a master strategist. And that's the joke. The joke that Russian trolls and Russian bots in the comments section were saying all along, that in the first month of the war, when they were driving tanks towards Kyiv, it was all a distraction, it was all a feint. The real prize, the real strategic victory, was taking the city of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk in the Luhansk Oblast. It is kind of laughable to have that kind of logic that rather than taking Kharkiv or Dnipro or Zaporozhye or Kyiv or Odessa, the real prize is this one random town in the Luhansk Oblast. So let me now show you the war map that people have been using to track the day-to-day advances of the Russian forces. This website is called deepstatemap.live. I'll link it down below in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. And here are the positions as of July 6th. This map is updated every day. And I'm going to flip it to exactly 30 days ago. So what did the Russian military accomplish over the last 30 days? And did you see that? The map jumped. So here's the city of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. Once again, I'm going to fill this back in over a period of 30 days so you can see their progress or advancements in the summertime. This is the summer month. This is the time to get the job done as winter is coming for both Russia and Ukraine. So yes, the Russian military now controls the entire Luhansk Oblast. But at the rate they're going, here's the scale down here, 30 kilometers, 30 miles. The Russian military is only advancing a couple square kilometers a day. And if they're going to try and take the rest of the Donetsk region, this is this dotted line, they're not going to get that done anytime this year if this is the rates that they're advancing. And once again, I told you that in this upper region here of Luhansk, this is mostly empty farmland. But the Donetsk Oblast is much more densely populated, has more infrastructure, more buildings, more cities, such as the towns of Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, and this town here, Bakhmut. So this triangle right here is going to be the new concentration for the Ukrainian defensive line, and Russia is just going to do what Russia does, artillery shelling, and then once Ukrainians abandon the position, that's when they finally move in. But are they going to be able to get the job done potentially before they run out of resources, before their own economy at home collapses? So here's the war map that I check every day. This is the price of crude oil currently, and I did post on my channel that it's back under $100 a barrel. This is good because the war is being funded with Russian energy exports, oil and natural gas, coal too. So let's check in on the price of oil. Pre-war, it was at about $92 a barrel. When the war broke out, it spiked up to 123, then came back down. But everyone was getting worried as we got into the summer months when demand for energy is usually higher, and oil peaked at $122 a barrel. So what's happening here is that central banks around the world are raising interest rates to combat inflation. Labor costs, commodities, and energy is what is causing global inflation right now. Now, the consequence of raising interest rates is it's probably going to trigger a global recession, a contraction in the GDP of the world economy, basically. But the good news is that it's going to lower the cost of oil, lower the cost of energy, and this is less money going to the Russian war machine in the short term. Citibank said that oil may collapse to $65 a barrel by the end of the year, once again as interest rates are being raised and the chances of a global recession increases. And Putin knows this. Putin knows that potentially his economy is vulnerable going into this winter over the next 6 months. So the speculation is that Putin may propose a ceasefire after taking all of the Donbas region. So this is what he wants. He wants to get to this dotted borderline here so that he can claim the land bridge to Crimea, claim the Donbas region. He knows he's never going to be able to take another major city such as Kharkiv or Zaporozhye, Dnipro, or Odessa. And Vladimir Putin is going to take everything he thinks his military is capable of taking, and then he's going to beg for peace. He's going to say, let us just keep the land that we took. We promise peace in our time. We'll never attack anyone ever again. Russia is your friend. Keep buying our oil. I don't think it's going to work, and Russia is showing signs of weakness. Here's a tweet from Peter Zeihan. I really like this guy, and this is what he says. This is a very good sign. If the Russians, after 22 years of Putin and only 130 days of war, are already defaulting to 1960s ammunition, then Russia's long-term military capacity is already breaking. So more and more Ukrainians are being bombed with and finding expended munitions from the 1960s as Russia is completely running out of and depleted from more modern, more accurate weapon systems. We've already seen T62 tanks on the front lines. These tanks are 50 or 60 years old from the old Soviet Union, so all of their more modern and capable armor is already being lost and depleted in the war. Meanwhile, Ukraine's own military capability increases with every week. Ukraine's American-made rockets are already blowing up Russian ammo dumps. The Ukrainian army systematically is demolishing Russian ammunition supplies. The strategy could have big implications as Russia's wider war in Ukraine grinds into its 4th month. Firing new American-supplied GPS-guided rockets, plus a few old ex-Soviet ballistic missiles, the army in just the last 2 weeks has targeted no fewer than a dozen Russian ammo dumps. So what's happening here, and this is a huge benefit to Ukraine, is Ukraine doesn't have to worry about launching their own satellites into space in order to track Russian military movements. The United States and Western allies are doing this for Ukraine. So the United States, through their satellite network, knows exactly where all the Russian command posts are. They know exactly where all of these ammunition dumps are. all they have to do is get the weapons into Ukrainian hands, and then it has to be the Ukrainians actually typing in the coordinates and hitting the fire button. So here are the US donated HIMAR multiple rocket launchers. They've been going to work, and the missiles being given have a range, I think, close to 80 kilometers. So let me just play this clip for you. Unfortunately, with all these videos put out by the Ukrainian military, they always use copyrighted music, so I can't play the music for you on YouTube, but they've been showing off these rocket systems. GPS guided, GPS is owned and operated by the United States Air Force, so this is a huge benefit that the Ukrainians can use the world GPS system, and the Russians would be foolish if they actually were using GPS. And we got video of where these rockets are hitting. So this was a ammunition depot in the Donetsk Oblast. This one I can play the sound for you. So this is where these rockets landed. So you're seeing all of the secondary explosions as an ammo depot is hit. These are priority number 1 targets because if you can deplete their ammo, then their artillery guns won't be firing the next day. Additionally, artillerymen of Ukrainians' 46th Air Assault Brigade are being trained currently in the United Kingdom. There are lots of Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian fighters who are currently safely in NATO countries, receiving training how to operate these various weapon systems from all of these NATO countries. Let me just show you a quick clip of these guys receiving their training.
Yes, we've had them for nearly 3 weeks now. They arrived at very short notice. A mixture of the trained audience consisting of logisticians, maintainers, operators and command post officers, and we've put them through a modulated program to not only train them on this system, but how to plan and prepare its deployment too.
So these are Ukrainian soldiers, not yet in the fight. Hopefully they can get to the front lines and be put to good use in the coming weeks. Here's a really interesting clip of French-provided Caesar self-propelled artillery systems. Let me just show you how fast these guys can fire a couple rounds and then get out of there. That was about 15 or 20 seconds before they can get the next round off. They've got all their ammunition here. Once they fire all their rounds, they get out of there before the Russians know their exact location. So Russia's military capacity is weakening over time. Ukraine's is strengthening. But ultimately, I think economics is what is going to end this war and defeat Russia. Here's an article from The Guardian, and it's titled, "The Return of Banditry. Russian car industry buckles under sanctions." And I'm going to show you a tweet from the account of a guy named Janis Kluge. He's a senior associate at the German Institute for International and Security Affairs. I can't read Russian. This is an official Russian government website in which they're just giving, the month-to-month economic numbers of how the Russian economy is doing. So this is from a Russian source. But this is what he says has been reported. So the year-over-year comparisons from May 2021 to May 2022 this year. Car manufacturing in Russia is down 96%. The reason why is because of economic sanctions. Car manufacturers in Russia can't get all the parts they need to complete an entire vehicle. Truck manufacturing down 39%. motor 57, passenger train wagons 59, refrigerators 58%, washing machines 59%, elevators 34. So all of Russia's industrial capacity, all of their factories, all of their employees, many of them are going idle because they've been cut off from global supply chains. They can't work with their normal vendors or distributors from Europe or North America because so many countries have put sanctions on them. So this is having a huge negative impact on the Russian economy. I'd love to talk to you more about some of these graphs and figures, but once again, I don't read Russian and I can't quite make out exactly what's in here. All I know is with most of these charts, the graph is going down as we get into the second quarter of 2022. Meanwhile, I understand that Ukraine is a war zone and they're suffering greatly, but there is good news. Vladimir Putin, in anticipation for this war, saved up a war chest of about $600 billion, but he was dumb enough to be keeping half of that money in Western banks at the time that the war broke out. First week of the war, this $300 billion was seized, and the groundwork is already being laid by the European Commission to legally confiscate this money from Russia and then redirect it towards Ukraine. So it would be a sweet irony if Vladimir Putin spent 8 years saving up this $300 billion and then all of that money was just used to basically help Ukraine fight Russia. Let's end this video on a positive note, and I want to share a heartwarming story of little Solomia from Dnipro. And she likes to play her flutes in the town square in order to take donations and raise money for the defenders of Ukraine. At the time this video was posted, she had already raised $4,000 and donated to the army of Ukraine.
Може більше від цього мене дорогами приїздити до тебе. Вона не розбудить, не будить, мене в селі бою забере бабулі, дідулі. І бо вони дуже добре за мене не було, в мене так було дуже за мене байда.
That's all for this update video, everyone. If you found it informative, give me a thumbs up. Really helps out with the channel. If you have any comments or questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next update video, take care, be safe.